Recording. I'll share my screen. All right. So now let's try to understand where automation testing can be used. Okay. So whenever we are doing any software testing of a UI application, okay. So we test it for any new feature development. Okay. And we test it for all previously developed features. So this is new feature development. This is already existing feature development. This is what we call as regression testing. Okay. So automation is primarily focusing on the regression testing part. The new feature development is always taken care by the manual testing. Mainly because for to do any automation, the application has to be stable. Whenever a new feature is developed, the application will be having some or the other issue. Okay, so we will be finding out more and more bugs there. We will be reporting them. Developers will be fixing them. Again, we will be testing them. So that process will be going on. This will not be a good candidate for automation. To do any automation, the application must be stable. So we will pick up those features which are relatively older and much stable. That is nothing but our regression testing part. Okay, so any automation testing will be mainly done considering the regression testing space. And of course, all this non-functional testing, they can be done only through automation. Of course, you can do some visual testing, accessibility testing through manual process, but it is more suitable when you do through a automated tool. Okay, so automation will be done on the regression testing part. Of course, smoke testing will also come. It is like a subset of the regression, regression testing. And all non-functional testing will be done or can be done only through automation. Okay. And why we do this automation testing? Again, the main reason for this automation is to tackle this regression. So now we are all working in this agile process where the software development is happening on an incremental basis. Every sprint, every 2 weeks time, we will be adding some new functionality. All the manual testing team will be focused on testing that new functionality. But whenever the new functionality gets added to the application, there are chances that it might trouble the previously developed features. So people have to test all the existing features also. If we tell the same manual testers who are busy in testing the new features, it will be difficult for them to do the previously existing features testing also. And that too in every sprint, every 2 weeks, they have to do the entire application testing. So it is becoming more and more difficult for them. Either we add more number of resources to the team, which will be, adding more and more cost to the company. Instead, we do this regression testing part through automation. We will develop the scripts to do this regression testing. And in any sprint, the manual testers or the testers who are there, they will focus on the new feature testing. And this regression testing, they will simply run the automation scripts. Okay, so that is how you know uh, industries are tackling this regression testing issue. And why we do this? Of course, it is fast. If one person sits in front of the machine and starts executing 100 test cases, it might require him 1 or 2 days to complete it. But if the same 100 test cases are automated and we do something called as parallel testing, okay, let's say instead of running them in one sequential thread, I will start 10 simultaneous executions. 100 test cases, 10 will be executed simultaneously. So basically, all these 100 test cases can be completed in say less than 1 hour. instead of for a manual person which used to take more than 1 day to complete it, and it is more reliable. Manual testing, when you do it again and again, you get bored. Okay, so you might lose the focus. So there will be situations wherein you might miss some of the testing. Some of the issues might be missed. Okay, but when you do it through a code, code is like a robot. It will do the same job again and again without any difficulty, without getting bored. It will do its job. So it is more reliable and it is enhanceable or scalable. You can keep adding the scripts. Okay, you can keep adding more and more scripts to it so that the automation coverage keeps on expanding. This is one way. Second way is, let's say you have automated the login scenario. Now you want to test the same login scenario with 100 set of different username and password. Okay, so the same script can be run 100 times repeatedly. Each time it will pick a new pair of username and password and do the flow. So this is where the automated scripts will be more scalable. And of course, they are accurate. So whenever you define that after login, let's say dashboard page should be visible and there should be some success message, let's say. And even if that success message appears and maybe there is some issue with the proper display of that message, even in that scenario, this automated script will record it as a failure. A manual tester will simply see it, okay, the message is still appearing, maybe it is not properly appearing, and may pass the scenario. But automated script is not like that. It is like 100% pass or fail. So that those scripts are more and more accurate. Okay. So that is why this automation people are more and more relying on. Okay. Manual testing will still be there. As I said, all new feature testing and all release related testing will be done manually only. Where this automation comes into picture, this big piece of regression testing. Okay. And whenever you start with any automation, we need to consider some of the parameters. What are those parameters? We need to see which platform we will be doing the automation, whether it is on a Windows based machine, whether it is on a Mac machine or a Linux machine, because it is again related to tool. Some tools might work on a specific platform only, and some tools might work on all the platforms. That is why this is one of the parameter we should consider. Okay. And whenever we select a tool, we should see, we should check for some parameters which is having a lot of community support. Let's say I start working with Selenium. Selenium is there in the market for more than 20 years now. So huge number of people have already used it and are using it. If I want to, understand something about Selenium, I can simply ask in the open community so that anybody who has worked on that particular thing will come and answer. Okay, so there are people who will basically have that knowledge so that if we run into any issue, they will come and answer us or help us. Instead, if I use any new tool which is there in the markets for maybe only 2 years, in that case, this community support will be less. Maybe, not many people will be using that tool. So if I run into any issue, I will have to basically find the solution on my own. So whenever we select any tool for automation, we should look for such tools that have a huge community support, like Selenium, which are there in the market for quite some time. And of course, we should also consider the application under test. That application, the web application which we are going to test, should be, we should be able to work that application through this tool. There are few tools which will not be able to test some applications. Say our web application is built using AngularJS feature or AngularJS program. Okay. And there is one more web application which is built based on the Mendix application. So there will be some tools which will only support the AngularJS applications, not the Mendix applications. So all these things we should consider when we start with automation. We should consider the platform. We should consider, you know, the automation tool support while selecting the tool. And also we should think about the application that we are going to test. And when we have all these things sorted out, we should always start by doing some POC, a proof of concept. What is POC? We will basically build some sample scenario using the tool which we have selected for the application which we are going to test, and see whether this can be achieved through this tool. Let's say I will select Selenium and the application I'm going to test is, let's say, Amazon. So what I will do, I will first do some basic scenario in that application. And then I will run my scripts for, say, maybe, 10 times or 20 times and see for all those 10, 20 executions, it is working in the same way. So this will be like a proof for me, which I can showcase to my seniors or the relevant stakeholders and say, okay, let us go with this tool to automate this particular application. Okay, so this is how we usually start with any automation. Okay, and of course, there are some limitations to automation testing. All this time in today's session, we are always positive about automation testing. No, industry is moving towards automation. Everyone should learn automation. Code is what automation, I mean, software industry produces. So we should learn coding. All these things is fine, but everything has a negative side. So what are the limitations of automation testing? First thing first, not everything can be automated. So there will be some remote scenarios which will which are not suitable for automation. It is not like you cannot automate them. You can still be able to automate them. And there will be few scenarios which are never automatable. Say the classic example is of the captcha. The captcha images that most applications use. Whenever there is that captcha image, and if you try to read that captcha and type it through an automated software, the security firewall comes into picture and stops it. So it is a security feature that is intended to stop this automation. So if it is part of any web application, then we cannot automate it. So what is the workaround? For at least testing purpose, they have to disable this captcha feature altogether, so that we can do the testing, and once the testing is everything is done, they can re-enable this captcha feature. But the bottom line is, let's say if there are 100 test cases, not all 100 can be converted into automation scripts. So there will be few scenarios left which cannot be automated. This is the first limitation. And the next limitation is this one. It requires some coding or technical expertise. And to do this, you people have to invest. From the company standpoint, they have to train the workforce. That is an investment for them. From an individual standpoint, we have to invest our time and energies here. Only then we will learn the coding. Only then we will get the technical expertise. So this is again, kind of a condition so that we can do automation. Unlike manual testing के लिए कुछ नहीं चाहिए. A normal thinking human brain is sufficient. वो बस logically think करने के लिए आना चाहिए. Then that person will be able to do manual testing. Automation testing is not like that. We need this technical expertise. And this involves regular maintenance work. Today we created 10 automated scripts. Maybe after 1 week, if I want to run the same script, they might not work. They might work, they might not work. Because there might be some changes in the application. Accordingly, our scripts must also be updated. This is what we call as a maintenance work. So this will always be there with the automated script. And this is again one of the limitation. And this is not suitable for new features getting developed. Of course, this we have already talked about, because new features will be unstable. And if you try to create an automation script, there will be more and more maintenance of that script. Okay. And of course, it is not suitable for production or release or live testing. Production, I mean, whenever we do a release testing, we will be testing the application in the real usage environment where the actual user data will be there. And if I run any automation script and by mistake or by any way it corrupts that data, then the actual business will be hit. So people usually avoid doing this automation testing in the production environment. All these things are kind of limitations for automation, where automation will not be useful. It will be more problematic if we try to do it. Where it will be useful? Regression testing. So now we can think only for regression testing why we need to do all this thing. If we consider the entire testing process, let's say 100 percentage, out of that 100 percentage, this new feature testing and production testing will be only 30%. 70% of testing is our regression testing only. So when we automate that regression testing, we are actually automating the 70% of our testing process. So it will be a great help for the testing team as a whole. So basically, when we do this automation testing, this is what we will achieve. It reduces the burden on manual testing and it will help the manual testers to do thorough testing of the new features. Say they can simply ignore or forget about doing the regression testing. Anyway, automation scripts are going to do that. So they can mainly focus on the new features. And in testing the new features, they will not get bored. They will be doing it more enthusiastically. So that testing will also be done properly and the regression testing will also be done properly through the automation script. So the overall testing process will be a huge success. Okay. So this is what this automation testing is all about. And these are the pros and cons of automation testing. And and this is the significance of automation testing, why we should do. And in order to do that, again, it comes back to the same thing. We need to do it through a tool. Okay. And in order to work with the tool, we need to learn any programming language, any coding, expertise is required. Okay. All right. So that is what we are going to do in this course. And all right. So let us stop for today. Okay. In tomorrow's session, we will get started with our tool for this course, which is going to be Selenium. Whatever we have talked today is automation testing in general. We have talked so many tools. And now we will start focusing on any one tool, which is going to be Selenium. And as I said in tomorrow's session, we are going to see how the Selenium will actually work by working on this IDE component. ओके इसके लिए ना जावा की जरूरत है ना सेलेनियम की अंडरस्टैंडिंग की जरूरत है वी विल सिंपली ट्राई टू रिकॉर्ड अ स्क्रिप्ट एंड रन इट बैक okay and yeah so let's see this tomorrow and for today let's stop and tomorrow again same time I'll be taking the next session. Okay, all right, so let us stop today's session and we'll continue in the tomorrow session.
Hello,
And
sir.
any doubts, any questions?
Hello, sir. I'm audible?
Yes, Aniket, go ahead.
Yeah. Which version of Selenium we are going to learn?
Okay, so it is going to be the latest version. If you go into the Selenium's website and go to download section 4.29.0. Okay, this
Okay,
is the
got it.
latest version. This is as of today. Maybe by the time when we complete the Java sessions, this might change to 4.31.0. Then we will be using that version itself. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. All right. That's fine. So we'll stop for today. Okay. We'll again continue in the tomorrow session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.